What was that word that you used?
Parteienverdrossenheit. It means that you are not satisfied anymore with your parties.
That's like the most brilliant word. Oh, I love that. Hi guys, bit of a departure today, trying something new. A few months ago, I made a video about Volt Europa, which is a new sort of pan-European political party, the first of its kind. It's one of the videos I'm most proud of, and it also happens to be one of my most popular videos to date. So, with the German national elections coming up, so these are the elections for the Bundestag, Germany's parliament, which Volt Europa are competing in, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to try and interview one of the candidates from Volt Europa. I contacted them. They suggested I speak to Pauline Raabe, who we'll hear from in just a minute. She is a candidate for Berlin. She's a first-time candidate. She's an activist. She's a member of Volt Europa. And we're going to talk about this election, Volt Europa more generally, what it means to compete at a European level in politics, and also Volt's really unique political culture, which I think is one of the most exciting and refreshing things about this party. So let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more interviews like this. It's kind of podcasty, so not investigative like my other content, but I'm open to try this if it gets a good reaction. So here goes my interview with Pauline Raabe. Please, could you introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, I'm Pauline. I'm from Germany. I'm currently based in Berlin. I'm 26 years old. I'm a political scientist by training, and now I'm currently working for Volt.
You're running for parliament, let's say, Bundestag. That's a big deal. So I saw that you posted on Instagram that you gave a lot of thought about whether you wanted to do this. So can you tell me, what was that like? What were your reasons for wanting to run? And what was the decision-making process like?
Obviously, it's a process to become politically involved. It's not really a decision that you take overnight. So I became active with Volt in 2018, so already three years back. And I took many different positions. I had different roles, and I really got to know the whole organization in detail. And obviously, I got also very passionate about it. And then there was the moment to decide whether I want to run for elections or not, and people actively contacted me, asking me, and I think I share this with a lot of other young women. I wasn't really sure whether this would be my role, whether I would be able to do it and stuff. So there was a lot of unclarity about it. What does it even entail? What kind of skills do I need to have? But then I said, well, that's why there is a lack of good people in politics, right? Because you think that you need certain skills, but that's not really the point. What you need is passion and a goal. And then I decided, well, if people think that I can really do this, then I will take a stance, and maybe I can even be a model for others to get politically involved, or to even become a candidate.
To me, the idea of being a candidate on the ballot in public is scary. I would be worried about, it's like a really public stance about politics, which divides people. So right away, some people won't like you just because of the stance you take. And a lot of people, that would be quite terrifying. Have you had those thoughts? Or, I don't know, how did you overcome that?
Obviously, it's completely weird because I can't help but to have this idea to change sides, from being the one that is represented to aiming for becoming a representative. So obviously this is mind-blowing. But I must say, so far, it's a very good experience, because especially, let's say, on the local level, when you engage with people on the street, but also with other politicians, you really feel that you have, at the end of the day, at least a similar goal, like to live democracy. And that's also quite empowering. So obviously you get like some bad reactions from people, but this is very much outweighed by the interest and the support that you get from other voters, from your family, your friends, but also strangers on the street.
Cool. So let's talk about Volt. So I did a video about Volt in May, I was very pleased with the way it went, because I thought this is such an interesting party, and I hadn't really heard much about it before that. So I just spoke to a few party members, did some research, and made the video. And to me, it's really, really different from other political parties. I know every political party says it's different, but Volt is really different in a couple ways. One is, I think, culturally, it's just a breath of fresh air, politics-wise. And I don't think people pay enough attention to the culture of political parties because I think they actually do determine a lot. But also the fact that it's a federal party, it's the first true federal party in Europe that operates across the whole of the EU, which is, I don't know why it's taken so long for that to happen. Can you tell me, why were you intrigued by Volt? And what was your process of getting involved with the party?
I've never planned it, and Volt is the first the first European party, but also the first party I ever got involved with. So it's hard to say. When I remember back in 2018, it was only 1 year old, right? So it was a mix between being fascinated by the overall goal, like a truly united Europe, but also the way of describing challenges, because I mean, we are currently living in interesting times, to say the least, like nationalism, populism, extreme global challenges also, just to name the climate crisis. So as everyone is always searching for answers and for ways to channel my will to just, to do my bit, that makes sense. So, and in Volt, we really do politics in a quite pragmatic and progressive way. What does it mean? So we do have one policy frame, which is called the mapping of policies. And even though we do have different national chapters, all of these chapters rely on the policy frame. So this is one important point. Then we also work mostly digital. That's why it actually works to work across borders. We do have one platform where everybody can connect very easily. And we do have this evidence-based, solution-oriented way of looking at problems. And that's why our whole working culture is very much constructive, project-based. And this is indeed a fresh way of doing politics, because we don't really have that hierarchies, but it's really easy to get involved in the movement, in the party, and to contribute whatever you want to contribute.
Okay, so whenever I see something, not just the Volt material online, but pictures of people doing things with Volt or Volt rallies, everyone looks like they're having a really good time. Like, that's the thing I notice. And it's not like other political parties don't have fun, but it looks like it's like a party almost, like a party. I know it's serious. There's real political issues. So my question is, how genuine is that? Because it's like, is it really as much fun as it looks like being part of Volt?
So first, we are over 90% volunteer-based, right? So everyone that joins us is doing this because they believe in the cause. And this makes a huge difference. They are not paid for it. They really believe what they are doing. So this is the first thing. The second thing, we really want to get things done. And when you do have volunteers, you need to get energy from what you are doing, So it's a good thing to come up with very constructive policies. It's very nice to communicate positively about solutions for challenges. But then in the end, you just need to get connected to people. You need to resonate. And I think there's different methods that we have to really go out there, talk to people, and to have the overall aim to activate people to become politically involved and to make their voice heard. I think that's what just happens, like we don't really try to produce these pictures or these videos, but that's really how we think that politics should be. Positive, fun also, even though we do have very serious goals to work for.
Okay, so I mean, it does look genuine. I don't mean to say it doesn't look genuine. It just seems like an especially fun group to be involved with. So there's the election in Germany going on now, which I think is the 25th is the election day. And 26, so in 3 weeks. So then there's an election coming up in the Czech Republic. So that's the thing that interests me about Volt, is that you've got elections happening all over Europe every month or so. So have you participated in or helped in any way with elections in other countries? And are there people from other countries coming to Berlin to help you? I mean, I know it's a pandemic, so it's a bit tricky, but what's that like?
Well, when the Dutch elections took place at the beginning of the year, it was indeed very tricky to go and support, because the pandemic was very serious back then. Now we are lucky because we do get support from other chapters. So, for example, this weekend we are participating in a manifestation, and we do have the two co-presidents of Volt Spain. Then our co-president from Volt Europa, Reinier, who is from the Netherlands, he came over like already a couple of times to just do some canvassing with us. And same goes for voters from France, from Denmark. So we take this pan-European campaign quite seriously. Yeah.
So besides the fact that there's a difference in manpower, that you've got these extra people who can come into your campaign, who know how to campaign, that's really useful. But how do like German voters respond to someone from the Netherlands or Spain speaking to them about their election? Do you know what I mean? It's unusual situation.
True, and there are differences. Obviously, for example, here in Berlin, it's already quite international. I mean, not as international as London, for example, but still. So what happens literally on a regular basis when you go out there canvassing, like wearing our electoral posters, then we just get comments from people talking to us in English saying, well, we already voted for you in the Dutch elections. And you're like, wow, this is amazing, you know? So they really, I would say in times where it's, for some people at least, quite natural to live, travel, love, work across borders, it's not that, you know, not that unnatural
Right.
to get international contacts on the streets.
So I hadn't thought of that, because there's, especially yes in Berlin, there must be an increasing group of people who are very European. I mean, in the sense of they've got multiple national identities or heritages, and so they may, yes, be involved in politics or aware of politics in more than one country. And so Volt's name recognition in one country, I guess, can help in some cases with another. That's a very interesting idea. So
also, just to add, also because the branding is the same.
Yes.
And this is also very important. You know?
Yeah, I picked up on that in the video. And it's Volt, the word is almost identical in every language in Europe. So it's easy for people to latch onto it and recognize it. It's very clever. Yeah, and the same branding. I mean, and it's also very bold branding. You wouldn't mistake Volt for another party. There's no other party with the same look. So, you've been a candidate now, and like you say, this is your first time out campaigning, and you're asking people not just to vote for Volt, but to vote for you, kind of. Is that a different experience, or is it kind of the same as always when you've been campaigning?
For now, it is. I see myself as a representative of Volt. So even though I do have my topics, for example, here in Berlin, I fight for a more fair and just housing policy. I really because we are still so young, I feel there is the need to still explain who we are and to what extent we differ from other parties. So I think you can't really compare, let's say, a candidacy for Volt with a candidacy from the Social Democrats, you know?
Right. I can hear you've got a very European sounding siren outside your door, I think. Outside window. No, it's great. Like for an American or British person, it sounds, wow. Okay, so that's talking about the other parties. I've campaigned for small parties before and been members of small parties. And the issue is always people think, well, I'm wasting my vote. if I vote for you, because the election will be won by one of these bigger parties. Now, it's different with proportional representation, but I still think that must come into play. And this election is different because Angela Merkel is not running for the first time, like that anyone can remember. And there might be a change in government, but I think it's still very close. So what's it like in this election in particular, being part of a small party or a new party?
I mean, we still hear this a lot. Yeah, so, and obviously people have a point when they say, well, there's this 5% threshold, but many points, in my opinion, speak against this. So first, when you truly think that there should be a more pan-European way of doing politics in the future, you rather waste your vote if you vote for a national party, like you can just spin it around if you like. And even if we don't get seats in the parliament, every vote for us puts more pressure on parties in the parliament because they see that there is a backing for progressive ideas and for a new way of doing politics. So I wouldn't underestimate this. And we also see in the Netherlands, we only have 3 seats and we are already making a huge difference. So this is not to be underestimated. And third, obviously, we do get money from the German state. So if you want to pursue our goal to grow constantly and to stay as sane and sound as we are as an organization, then obviously this is also a very valuable support for us.
Okay, so that's an interesting point about the fact that it puts pressure on other parties. And I've made a similar argument, although I think you made it better than I have. But I knew immediately what you thought. But actually, then my next thought was, well, you could imagine the I'm going to say it wrong, SDP, or Die Linke, or maybe some other party, or the Free Democrats, thinking, let's steal some of their policies, but they can't steal your pan-European structure. You guys have something unique, and I would think that must terrify them, like if you catch on. Do you agree? Do you think that's a particular advantage that Volt has?
Yes, of course. I think, and that's why people start becoming interested in us, that it's not only about our policies, and they are indeed brilliant, especially against the background that it's voted by volunteers only, like getting all the expertise from different sides. That's very, very fascinating and it makes me proud. But at the same time, it's really about structure, and about like what you described. Is this a party, a movement that people want to be part of? And especially currently in Germany, we do have this expression of Parteienverdrossenheit, that people don't really feel that they are represented by parties anymore. And we give them a concrete alternative how politics can be, So this is a very important fact. And also we are very much evidence-based. So we take best practices from all over Europe. And that's also how we brand our electoral posters. So we say, I don't know, like we take Vienna as an example for social housing, or the infrastructure of Copenhagen in Denmark to describe how we envision mobility for Berlin, for example, So this is a very, it's not only about being different from other parties, it's also about just getting the pictures right, like being very straightforward, really clear in what we are demanding.
So what was that word that you used, the German word?
Parteienverdrossenheit. It means that you are not satisfied anymore with your parties.
Say it one more time.
Partei, which is party, Verdrossenheit.
Parteienverdrossenheit. And that's thinking that parties don't represent you. That's like the most brilliant word. Oh, I love that. Parteienverdrossenheit. Okay, brilliant. Okay, and that's a real thing, not just in Germany, I'm sure, although only the Germans have such a brilliant word. But it's a phenomenon right across Europe and the whole world, I would imagine. So the word Volt is new in politics. Like, it's still a very new party. Do you ever get people that like think you're doing something else other than politics? So what
Right.
do they think?
Either we are a new e-scooter, or we get like we do have this delivery service called Volt, but with W at the beginning, and then they say, you are like a new food delivery.
So have you ever like taken someone's order, like said, yeah, what would you like?
A political order, maybe, just like some inspiration, but no food, no.
I would have thought that would have helped, you know?
And that's a very important point. I think it's not about being present, it's about how you approach people. And people, I mean, maybe you also realize this, when you approach people and you're smiling and you do have a very open appearance, they just can't say no, you know, like, it's very hard to.
Very true. So I was looking at your Instagram at your invitation earlier today, and you had the post where you were on the Czech border, I think, and you were talking about how you could visit the place where the border guards had once been and they were no longer there, and you could just wander around. I've also crossed borders in that part of Europe. I think I was crossing into Slovakia once, and the border station was just empty. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was like an abandoned place, very surreal. So could you just talk about what the importance of that is to you? Like that these borders have become something that they're no longer stopping people from movement. I don't know how to put that, but I mean, put it in your own words. What's it like?
So first, I'm quite young, right? So the European idea of having open borders is quite natural to me because I don't have any comparison. So it took me, I mean, I traveled down to West Africa, and this was the first time where I actually understood how it feels like to literally cross a border, you know, like with all the paperwork and stuff. So I think maybe one obvious idea that crosses your mind is comfort, you know, like it's so comfortable just to cross borders without really crossing a border, literally, you know. But then also this sense of belonging, at least for me, like because you do have open borders, it's much easier, at least for me, to feel as a whole, like a whole European society, you know, to rather focus on what connects us instead of what divides us. And this is very strong, you know, and like a very strong idea, which is, in my opinion, one of the biggest achievements of the European Union, that you do have the opportunity to not only have a national identity, if you like, or a local identity, but also a pan-European identity.
Okay, this is really interesting to me because in the UK, one of the reasons that I think people voted for Brexit is that the pan-European identity you mentioned is something people reject. They don't want to be Europeans, they want to be British. And they want to be British because I think it's how they see themselves, it's part of their identity. And if you offer this alternative, it's like it's a threat to who they are, how they see themselves. It's an emotional response. And history has been very different in the rest of Europe. So I guess my question is for you in Germany, do you encounter the same hostility to a pan-European identity, or are you finding that that's something people are interested in?
Germany is a very special case because we, like nearly any post-war generation, was very much aware of the destructive potential of nationalism. So like I get this in my everyday life when I encounter Europeans from other countries, France, Italy. They are much more open-minded to like this very cute way of nationalism. You know what I mean? Just yes. Being proud. And in Germany, we are very, very, very cautious of this. So it was literally in the UK that I understood nationalism in a way. So this is already quite telling. And just maybe to add on the UK and why it's different to subscribe to this pan-European identity are two things, or like mainly two things. First, the European Union is not working properly. It's not a democratic union at all, like we do have a parliament. That's the only thing we can vote for. Obviously people don't really feel that much connected if they feel they don't really have a power to shape a European democracy. And second, we don't we don't have yet a truly pan-European, how do you say, public in that sense, so we don't have like common narratives, common stories, we remain in our national media outlets most of the time. And I think this is also a very important point why it seems difficult for some people to accept or to embrace this pan-European identity.
Yeah, the differences in media are a big hurdle, which is why I think it's interesting that Volt has this common European political message. You're not tailoring it to different markets. You're saying, here's our stance on everything. What will happen on election day itself? Can you just talk us through this as a candidate? What will happen? What time of, how will you spend your day? Do you campaign on election day, or is there no campaigning? Is there a party? Just talk us through that.
Funny enough, I didn't make plans yet, except for the fact that obviously there will be a party in the evening, because that will also be the moment when the first results will be published. Other than that, I think I will go voting. I mean, we do have the opportunity to vote in advance, but I think I just, I want to celebrate this. So probably I just going to meet up with some voters and we're just going to celebrate this democratic right first. And there's so much like positive pressure, but it is a very stressful time, obviously, to do campaigning day and night. So it will really feel like just the moment where you can just celebrate yourself for all the effort that you put together as a movement. Like this team idea will be so strong, and I'm really looking forward for this experience that will also be very decisive for us as a movement. Like to keep going and to see that we are able to move something, literally.
Yeah, no, it must be extremely exciting. So will it be on Twitch? Because I know the Dutch election was on Twitch for people to stream from around Europe, around the world.
I guess YouTube, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
I will try and leave a link in the description if I can find one. And I will try and watch. When it's all over and whatever the results, is there one thing that you think you'll take away from this? Is, that you'll look back on this and think that was the moment, that was the most important moment of the campaign, or my favorite moment? I put you on the spot.
It's like literally hard to say because there are so many positive moments. We are a movement, and I really believe in the movement character. So it's just when you feel that you empowered people or that you got empowered by people, this is so beautiful. So without like naming one specific moment, it's about really understand that they are like-minded people, and they are as idealistic and pragmatic at the same time as you are, and that's very beautiful. And also like just being able to do our bit and to shape our democracy. I think this is quite a privilege. But once I can think of one moment, I'll let you know.
Okay. Anything else that we've not covered that you'd like to talk about?
You asked about the future of Volt Germany and Volt Europa, and I thought this a quite clever question. So maybe this is the last point that I would touch upon. So what I'm very optimistic about is that we, as I already mentioned, that we will have this same constant growth, not only in Germany, like especially in Germany, because we will gain more attention through our campaign, but also across Europe. And that, like also with our General Assembly taking place in October in Lisbon, to finally get together again and to feel that that this project is still continuing even after 4 years, and it keeps on expanding, and it keeps on like blossoming. Is this how you can put it? Now we do have like nearly 20K volunteers and members across Europe, and that's very encouraging. And I'm looking forward to see what will happen next.
So the General Assembly you mentioned, it's a Volt General Assembly, and that's happening in Portugal in October.
Exactly.
I've helped out with campaigns, and that's exhausting, like mentally and physically. To be a candidate, I can only imagine. So my hat goes off to you. I don't have a hat, but my hat mentally goes off to you. I'm very impressed that anyone would do this, and especially to do it in a new party is even a sort of bigger step, I think. So congratulations, whatever the results on the 26th. And yeah, I really can't thank you enough for your time today. And yeah, good luck with the rest of the campaign. I hope it goes well.
Thank you very much.
So what'd you think? I found the interview to be huge amounts of fun. I'd like to do more content like this in future if there's an interest in it. So like I said at the beginning, let me know in the comments what you think. If you have suggestions for other candidates you'd like me to interview, then let me know. And if you're watching this before the German national elections have taken place, be sure to look out for the election night coverage, which Volt will be streaming. If I can find a link, I'll put it in the description below. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.